Let's try this. Am I still echoing? Still echoing? What the fuck, OBS? What the fuck, OBS? I don't. I don't. Where is it capturing me multiple times? Where is it capturing me multiple times? Yeah, there's too many Kayshurrs happening right now, and I need it to stop. But I don't have any, like, repeating audios anywhere. Hold on. Just gonna go through all my scenes to see if there's anything that's capturing strange. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. I hate hearing myself. I hate hearing myself. No. No. Oh! That... Good point. I think it's just coming from OBS. Because when I stopped streaming, this browser page. Hold on. Just gonna exit a bunch of stuff out. Did that fix it? Okay, so it would seem. I'm gonna go back here. It would seem that it is the dock that I use to look at chat, which has never duplicated audio for me before, because there is no stream, like, preview there. So that's interesting. Let's try that again. Are we fixed now? It seems to be fixed now. I have chat back up. Okay, great. Yeah, so, like, I have, like, a dock, in OBS that has just, like, that has the stream information for me. It's where I can, like, raid and where I can edit stream, like, the title and stuff like that, and I can see chat. Never have had it, like, have the Twitch preview up. I can navigate to a separate tab to do that, but had not done that. OBS was just haunted, I guess. It's fine. We figured it out. That was awful and I hated it. But it's fixed now. It's just me. It's just the one Kaysh, actually. Thank you for bearing with while we resolved that. It is fixed now. Hooray! Yeah, OBS was just temporarily haunted. It heard that I wanted to play Blasphemous and was like, oh ho ho! Have I got some weird nonsense for you then? I don't know why those two are connected in my brain, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm playing Goop Man Game today, because I am still deeply obsessed. I have already beaten it, like, once recently, and I think I want to try and beat it again. I was really close, I think, to getting, like, the like, true ending or whatever. I think it's just called Ending B. I don't know if it's actually the true ending or not. My god, Hollow Knight music. Yeah, I think I was, like, really close to getting the like, Ending B or whatever. But I was doing it without a guide, and I think I fucked up, my assumption is that I fucked up the order in which I was supposed to do some bosses. But that's okay! We can fix this. I think I can fix this. I think I know what I'm doing. Again, like I said, I haven't, like, really looked at any guides or anything. I don't know what's happening. And that's fine and great. But I have the day off today from work, and I've done a lot. I have recorded 2 videos. I did a bunch of chores. And I kind of just wanted to do, not a huge stream, but a slightly larger stream than normal. I was gonna do some more Rule of Rose, and I'm still down for finishing that, but I just got Blasphemous on the brain. I'm sorry, I just need to play my silly, horrible Metroidvania. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. I'm gonna tell the music to get out of here, and I'm gonna open up My dang video game! I think sound should be fine. It might be actually a little quiet as I think about it. We'll turn the voice volumes up a bit, because they talk sometimes. That's the game that I was currently working on. I did do New Game Plus, and that's why it's only 24.2%. It got 26 hours on it, though! Oh boy! It's been blasphemous hours. What can I say? I love this silly game. And I want to play the second one. I have to wait to pick it up. It's gonna be a little bit before I can buy it.
Because this is my guilt, I claim you, grievous miracle.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm excited.
My chest hurt with regret.
How does it sound?
And nail it deep. Shape my guilt once again.
Excuse me, phone. Just gonna turn you off. Whoopsies. Yeah, Big Head wouldn't take the eyeballs the last time that I played. And it was tragic, because I worked really hard to get those. The boss is to get those eyeballs. Real fucking hard, or at least one of them was.
And thus, guilt, repentance, mourning, and every pain of the soul of all kind were visibly and tangibly manifested everywhere and in all of us. Sometimes in the form of blessing and grace. Sometimes
That's the lady
in
I
the
killed.
form of punishment and corruption.
It's Pie Dad!
That divine will, equally pious and cruel, which we could not and will never be able to unravel, was called the miracle.
I really like this game. In case we didn't know, in case you were wondering. Kind of a good game. I am gonna try and do like as close to a 100% run as I can. I am starting fresh, as we saw. It's not a New Game Plus kind of thing. I wonder if I still have the same, probably the new outfit that I chose. I do. We're purple, man. No one is surprised. We like purple here. Let's just smash that goop into our face and let's get going. Right. I can't do nothing. I'm gonna mark corpses as I find them, though. There's also a baby here. Yeah, so I did just recently play through this. Finally, like, actually finished it. I'd played a lot before, but I just, like, had forgotten. Not forgotten. I did the thing that I do, where I go really hard on a video game, and then just before getting to the end, or I get to, like, a certain point where I've, you know, made a lot of progress, then I'm just like, maybe I should stop playing right now, actually. And then I stopped playing, and I never went back. But when I heard that the new game was coming out, I was like, I should probably revisit this at some point. And so that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Whoopsies. I need to remember I don't have all the moves that I'm used to having. That's fine. We got this. Oops, not close enough. It's fine. Listen. We're fine. We're not gonna die. They're a boom-ass boom. Look at that. Not even an issue. It is sad that he only gives me 300 points, though. Was that too loud? Was the fight too loud? Do I need to turn the music down? It looked very loud. Sounds fine? Perfect. Alright. It's always hard to gauge. But the difference between what I am hearing, what OBS is telling me that you're hearing, and what you're actually hearing. So, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Great. Look at that. First try. Eat shit, my dude. I should probably heal. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. At least they don't give me anything. I'm gonna mark that with a question mark, because that's a door that we can open at some point.
Regretful be the heart.
I don't need to mark anything. I can remember where lots of things
the eldest
are.
brother has now come to an end. I am Deo Gracias.
Hi, Deo Gracias.
Witness to and narrator of the acts of the grievous miracle. Such is my penance, as yours is silence. The cradle of affliction is what you seek. This can be found in the mother of mothers of the churches.
Oh, I get an item that's like his little mask. I just
It
realized.
is a remote place separated from the rest of these lands by a great sacred and forbidden door. Even a wise penitent like me knows nothing of what lies beyond those high walls.
I do want to try and
what I
beat
do know
the
is that
first 3 bosses
according to the
within 3
rule,
hours, because you get an
one
achievement
must
for it.
carry out the 3 humiliations to gain access to what they guard.
Yeah.
One of them must be performed in the high mountains, covered in thick blankets of snow.
And I vaguely, like, I have a better idea of where they are
Another in
than I have the
depths
last
of a
couple of times
dark,
I've tried, so
entombed church
maybe
where
we
the
can do it.
sleeper lies. And the last one, at the end of the trail, carved by moans that claw their way out of an iron spiral. In the bowels of the bell named Hondo that grows into the earth, take this thorn and place it on the handle of your sword. If, when the time comes, as you grip your weapon firmly, you notice that it wounds you and makes you bleed. Having grown, with more thorns sprouting from it, writhing over the figure of the father carved into the knob, that will mean that you are at the mercy of the grievous miracle, whether for its punishment or its forgiveness.
Thanks, Deo Gracias. I need that for things. Alright, let's get through here. Not even an issue. Game I know how to play. Here's the thing, buddy. We know what we're doing. Ignore me getting hit that time. I definitely know what's happening. Beautiful. You love to see it. Yeah, I love the silly little game. Give me that. Yep. Okay, you know what? There should be an option here to turn off gameplay tips. I want you off. Is there no way to do that? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought there was. I just want them to go away forever. Please. Alright, and then we'll just get over through the mud. Mark this with... Ooh. We'll do that blue. Do that blue as well, because there's a... Listen... Sir! I know it's because I was below him, but also, maybe he shouldn't be able to hit me from there. Consider. I am doing this too soon. What is happening? I'm overthinking it, is what's happening. I can't do a plunge attack yet. Ugh, starting a new game sucks. Baby God. Yes, I know about Children of Moonlight. Little cherubs, easy peasy. We'll get them. Assuming man with wheel doesn't kill me because I am too silly to remember how to, you know, block accurately.
There is no answer to our plea. The miracle has forsaken us, and my ornate throne turns its back on those who await here.
Let me take my gloves off. It's very hot outside right now, which means that my AC keeps kicking on to keep the house cold. Which is delightful, and it's great, but because my desk is directly below the vent, because it keeps turning on, I get very cold, and it's unfortunate. Again, I would much rather it be cold, than not, but just that ends up meaning that my hands hurt, because they're cold. Okay. We don't have anything for the man just yet. Let's look at the Mea Culpa shrine. They make our sword better.
Penitent one, you who carry the painful guilt in your cracked hands. Lend it to us and alleviate our burden. Lend it to us and wipe away our tears. Because it is an act of penitence.
Thanks. Alright. I think there's also an achievement for, like, fighting all of the main game bosses without healing, which is not gonna happen. But I have been thinking about it. Just know, I have considered. We're just slightly short of being able to purchase an upgrade for our sword. Surprise, there's a secret here. And there's a ding-dang bone! Trying to consider where to go first. I mean, it's not really where we want to be. I can get to one of the first bosses that way. But consider I don't want to go through I don't want to go through the sewers at the moment because it's bad there.
In this place, we gather the remains of those who were
And I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little guy with a funny hat.
Grant them holy burial, as our charitable rule prescribeth. Help
Okay.
us, these poor souls, O penitent one in silence. The order blesses you.
Beautiful. There is a cherub here. And there's a body here as well, but I need to scooch over. Great. I get an item eventually. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I get an item eventually that lets me talk to corpses. And again, there's an achievement for talking to all the corpses. Hi, we're achievement hunting right now, kinda. Don't worry about it. Alright. That's almost 2 upgrades for us. Those guys out of here. They mean nothing to me. Just a bunch of chumps. Oops. This is fine. We're doing great. We'll get used to parrying and doing our little dodges. I do have enough to upgrade now, which is exciting. Not that I really want to go back just yet. Give me that. We do want to open up the shortcut that's down here, though, so let's do that, I think. Perfect. See, we've got this. It's under control. Not even a problem. Y'all were worried. Okay. Look at that. What are you? The Uvula of Proclamation. I mean, we might as well equip everything while we can. And once we get more items, we'll be a little more discerning about what options we want. This is blocked off to me. That's also blocked off for the time being. That's blocked off. Maybe that's what I should do instead of... question mark. It's a locked door. I was really bad about marking things the first time I went through, which on its own, not terrible, but it is helpful when you have to backtrack a whole bunch and are like, well, I know it was in this general region, but then, you know, that general region is very large and full of things that look the same. I think I can remember most of these things at this point, but it's just nice to have that little guide as well. Okay. Not a problem. Blech! Thought I was gonna fall off the edge there. Perfect. Look at us go. We're zooming. Hold on, I want to go up first. Do a little squish. Come on. And another little squish, just because we can. We love doing a little squish here. Alright. Just casually jump our way across the ladders. We'll get that. Heart of the Virtuous Pain. That is, yeah, a sword heart. And there is a baby here who I cannot reach just yet. So we'll mark them on our map, and we'll come back later. Don't worry, I'm just scared. This way is nothing but pain at the moment. That is in the direction of the visage of the Lady of the Charred Visage, I think, who is just kind of a pain in the ass, honestly. She shoots a lot of bullets, which, like, we can deal with, but I don't like doing it. I think of, like, the 3 first bosses, she's the one that's the hardest for me, at least. The ones in Hondo are kind of annoying. Fuck. That's just because... Can we not? Stop! Sorry, these fucking guys. The ones in Hondo are I don't want to say difficult, but it can be hard because it's 3 ladies, and they just kind of float around the screen. All the while, the arena is constantly moving upwards, so you're having to platform. It's just the whole thing, really. Idiot. Sorry. I'm sorry, that was mean of me. You were doing your best in that situation, buddy. Good job. We'll do this. We'll get the enemies to come back. We don't really need to be here right now, but we can talk to Deo Gracias. And he'll tell us about needing the bronze reliefs.
On whose bronze the ordeals of those chosen by the miracle are perpetuated.
Oh, it is them.
For the art of these images to be worshipped and revered, ornamentation must
That's cool.
take
I had
place.
never, like, looked at it closely, but it is cool. The one on the top is Pie Dad. And then you've got the Lady of the Charred Visage. And then you got the 3 ladies at the bottom.
The sculpted holiness watches us, rigid, from on high. But it is the relief of the bronze that dictates who is worthy of passing under its adorned arch. Find the holy visages, and the bronze will know. For fickle are the wishes of the miracle.
Great. Perfect. Wonderful. Normally I would just skip through all this because I, you know, have heard it all before. But I'll let you all hear it too. Because it's neat. I just think it's neat. Well, I'm glad that rock hitting me didn't actually hit me. And now he can't hit me because the ground is in the way. It's fine. They don't do nearly as much damage as I remember them doing. Maybe it's because I'm, again, a little more used to, like, endgame bosses. Or endgame enemies, I should say. Yeah, we'll wait to do the Lady of the Charred Visage. Because she is a pain in the ass. She's usually who I do second. No! I feel like... I'm trying to think of, like, who would be best to do second. We'll figure it out. It's fine.
Sister of mine, as I foretold you, someone is heading towards the Forbidden Gate. Someone who seeks the purge and excommunication of all that is sacred and rests there. No, no, do not place your doubts on me. I am ready.
Okay, buddy. Mercy dreams. Okay. I would like to just get rid of this. Normally you can pray here and get rid of your guilt, which accumulates when you... Oh, right. I don't have the thing that I need. Okay. When do I get the pearl? It's fine. So normally you can, kneel at those shrines to get rid of your guilt, which accumulates on your prayer bar. When you die, so you don't get to do nearly as many special moves. But we haven't died, and I think you need to do... I think you need to, like, participate in the little, like, enemy rushes that you get there, for the true end, I believe. Because the little thing that Deo Gracias gave you, gets bigger every time you complete one of those challenges. Alright. We'll just get stabbed a few times. That's fine. That's our, like, favorite thing, actually. Alright. I'm gonna heal up just a bit. Might. I don't know. The, like, rewards from it weren't great. But I also know how to do them better this time. So they might be fun to, like, show off. Slash, I know easier ways to complete them. I tried to hit dodge there, and he just said no. I can summon the lady, and she might be... There might be a couple of bosses that she would be useful, with. What's here? I wonder if she would be... She probably wouldn't be any good against Isadora. But... Might be useful... Alright, those guys have gone too far to the side. Sir, you need to dodge when I ask you to? I'm trying to think. There's probably a couple of bosses that we could use her against. The issue is, like, her attack, like, exclusively works for enemies on the ground. And I don't really use the prayers. I mean, I am right now, but it's like I don't usually use the prayers for anything that's not... it's not a boss. Again, I am right now just because, like, I'm a baby. I'm a weakling. I'm tiny and frail, and oh god, I have no health. You want to turn around, sir? No, you fuckhead! You couldn't see me! Yeah, I'm just a little guy with no goop right now. Oh, we're so far back. No, I know how to dodge, game. I can't dodge when I'm jumping in the air, though. That's fine. You know what? This is fine. I hate these rockmen. They're the worst. I'd never considered that strategy before. Thanks. I understand, like, the game hasn't really told us the dodge is a thing yet. And so that's just it being like, hey, like, this is a move that you can do, but it's like, game. It does come off as a little condescending when you've not stated that before. And it's like, I've already figured that out. Dodging wasn't the problem here. Thanks, though. Damn. I'm happy that you're here, even if you're lurking. I hope you're doing well, friend. Alright. Sam is here. Sam is lurking and Sam is here. Hey! Our good friend, Sam Friend, is here. Right, I don't need to go through there. There's a door here that I didn't go through, so we might as well check that out. Are you kidding me? Hey! There's a shrine here. Is this the one? Or is this the one? This is the one we need to go through. We don't need to repeat certain sections. Ah! Stop! Stop! Alright. My like goal, please. My goal for myself for this stream is to try and get through. Sorry, my little analog cap came off of my thumbstick. Ugh. Okay, maybe it just stays off. Maybe it just stays off. Alright. That's fine. Now it feels so small, though. Okay, we've already gotten that. God, no, I hate how this feels. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Are you... Please, just stick? Be on? I think I need to get new ones. Here's the thing, I'm very rude to my controllers. Just because I use them a lot. Sir, you can't stab me like this. Sir! Ugh! Horrible. No! Anyway, there's our guilt. We've got it back. You might have to have more than like 2 seconds to recover from jumping on a man's head, I think. It's fine. We got a thing. What is this? Just bones. It's just bones. You just wanted some bones, right? I need to unlock that. But this should be kind of the bottom, which is exciting. I think there's... Right, I can't do the downward slash, but I think there's a shortcut here for another area. So that's cool. I think there's a refill station in here. No, there is a lady who is selling things that I would like to purchase. I would like to purchase this.
What I trust me.
And that right there
What I am offering may my
is the... Wait, no. That's not what I want.
what I am offering may my
Ugh, but that's so much. I'm gonna buy it though, because it's gonna be a bit before we get the item
let us begin.
that will
I will
allow us. I know I said I was gonna let these NPCs talk, but this lady can not, I think. I'm gonna mark that there is an NPC here. I don't think I'll come back to purchase the pearl. Because A, it's not the pearl that I thought it was. Please. Alright. Not an issue! Sorry, I'm like trying to like juggle like 20 million thoughts in my head all at once. So if I don't finish a thought, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine, actually. Let's hit that guy a couple of times. I want to hit both of those guys a couple of times. Beautiful. You love to see it. Just that out of there. Fuck. Okay. You know what? That's okay. This is fine. We can die a few times. I'm not in a hurry or anything. No, I also understand about accumulation of guilt. I really wish there was a way to turn off the tutorials. I'm sure there is. I remember there being one. Being like an option to do that. But, you know, I can't find it. And honestly, I can't be bothered to look around for it too much. Well, I got impatient. That was my fault. I did an oopsie. That shouldn't have touched my tootsies, though. This is very rude. Okay. Understood. This is the rude room. We have learned. We know now. Sir. Okay, let's get those guys out of there. That man can keep doing whatever he wants, because I'm gonna cut him up. Just like that. Great. Fuck. I need my man to jump. a little more quickly. Doesn't have quite the, like, the rush that I need him to have, you know? It's not really showing any sort of hustle. Come on. Sir, I was in the middle of attacking you. You should have been stunned. I'm scared. I didn't need to go this way. I could have just dropped down, but I do need to replace all those, fragments that I lost. Is there anything further here? No. Where does this go? Oh, it's a bad place. Well, that's not the way that I was pointing my analog stick when I told the man to go. But you know what? That's fine. It's another bad trap. Please. Please. Oh boy! We are not doing great. We do have an empty bio flask though, so we'd love to see that. Because that'll give us more heals if I can find a fountain. Can I get out of this bad hellhole though? Without dying, preferably. Okay. Yeah. No, we're good. Everything's fine. The lady is here. Has the man considered getting out of the bad hellhole? Think he should not be there anymore. Is this... No, that is a teleporting area. Great. Glad we have that. Ugh. Let's get those guys out of here. I thought there was a mea culpa shrine around here. Ugh. Fuck. My guy? We are having a hard time sliding under those, huh? I got a pisiform. Don't worry about it. It's fine. My guy. The delay. I mean, there's like a cooldown, so I understand. But at the same time, not particularly happy about it. There's a locked door here. Let's mark that. Do I use piss form to get through the... Piss could pass here! It's just a bone for my strange bone creature. You know what? Actually, before we do Pie Dad... 10 Pie Dad, even. I'm gonna go back to Albero. So that we can... It is less exciting than piss form, but you know, can't always get piss form, you know. Hey, we got a bouquet of time. Isn't that exciting? I wanted to come here so we can level up our shit. Fourth combo finish for 2,000. But they went it. I need the plunge attack. I keep trying to use a plunge attack, and I keep not having a plunge attack. So we're gonna do that. Hi, Emmy. Do you mean our sweet boy? Our sweet boy Wayne right here? We love him. He just... Fine. It's fine. He's fine? He's fine. Doing great, actually. Hi, Emmy. How are you doing? How's it going? It's fine! Sometimes you just have to take a tumble, you know? Don't worry about it. How are you doing? How's it going? Okay. Let's go. Yeah, I did finish everything downwards that I can at the moment. Let's do a fight. Not having a fourth combo is gonna be a little weird. I love that for you. Was it a good nap? Look, it's Pie Dad! Pie Dad, don't be angry. Fuck! Also, I do have... I should have looked at this before we got in here. But I do have another prayer. What is this? Right, speed of attacks. Sounds like you have a drinking problem. Is that kind of nap? Ooh, don't hit me into the thorns, my guy. Well, he's gonna. Okay. Ow! Hi, Dad, please! You think I can beat him without using a flask? Oof! Nope. The answer is nope. Okay, you know what? That went pretty well. For a first try. So I'm not mad about that, and I am getting better at the parries on him specifically. So it's fine. We got this. Are we gonna do this every time though, buddy? You gonna wake up and get mad and rip off the statue's head and throw it down, and then I'm gonna be like, hey, that was really rude of you. Why would you do that? And then we block and we jump in and yada yada yada. Oh, never mind. We don't block that time. Hey, hey, don't be mean to me. All right, bucko. I was hoping I didn't have to use a bile flask on you, but you've left me no choice. Yeah, not having that fourth combo attack is not doing me any favors. This is fine. Nope. Okay. We'll do that. Just get some free hits in. And that made me invulnerable, which was exciting. Didn't time that one as well, though. Didn't time that one as well, either. Fuck. I panicked and I walked away when I should have kept going towards him. You know what? This is fine. We're doing great. Yeah, we're getting closer. Honestly, a lot of the issue is that I'm just used to having like my full array of attacks. But I don't. I also only have the 2 bile flasks, which is rough. But you know what? We got this. Yikes. I need to move back. Well, that was rude. Alright, come on, guy. You're about to be 10 pie dead. Got him. just a single yikes. You know, yike. It's fine, he's dead. Got him. See, he wasn't even worried. It is a shame that I had to use a bio flask, but that's okay. That means I can just give up on that achievement. Just entirely. Let's go get that humiliation. Let's go. Let's go. Where it? There it.
In the name of the great ordeal and the sons of the miracle.
Oofa.
When you humbled yourself before my most holy body, you have been granted the presence of my
Sorry,
golden visage,
the color balance is so
custodian
weird.
of one of the three sorrows of the soul in penance.
I got new light bulbs for my office, and they are the wrong kind all around. So it just makes everything look awful.
Walk on the sacred sea. May the gold in my visage melt and erase the attrition of your soul.
Aw, thanks.
Guilt, return now from the dream.
Yeah, we're slightly less than an hour in. This is looking good for getting these 3 main bosses done in under 3 hours. I am pleased. I'm gonna heal up real fast. Doesn't matter because there's a shrine here.
You have carried out the first humiliation of penance. You have met the visage of attrition. You have yet to prostrate before 2 last holy visages.
Yeah, we got this. Fruity Emmy's here. Hey! Emmy's here. Ah! No! And Emmy. And Emmy. Give me more health.
Blessed are the eyes that with devotion see my tormented heart. Let the ones who are joyful in affliction and fasting come to me, for they are pleasant penance. 6
You've got red on you.
pains lance my flowery breast. Take the first one and purge one of your 6 mortal stains of the soul.
I mean, she says 6, but you can get 7 in total from her. Just in case you were wondering. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's 7. Bio flasks? No. Okay. Well... Please! Oh god, I'm so slow. I'm just gonna hit every single one of these trying to jump over here. This is fine. Get that guy out of here. I need enough Tears of Atonement in order to get the upgrade that I want. That is my goal right now. My one true desire. Don't know that I can finish this area without the item. I don't need to be here is the takeaway. I need to go up north or down south. One of the two. Alright. We'll do this for right now, just because maybe there's something cool up here. No, I need to not be here. That's what needs to happen. I need to not suddenly grab the edge I just wanted to drop down, my guy. Alright. This is horrible. I hate it here. I need to not be in this bad place. Is what needs to happen. Get me out of here. This should take me back to Albero, I believe. Maybe? Please! Get me out of here! Give me this. We can explore. Hey, it's the humorous of McMittens. Perfect. Great. I need to just not be in there anymore. I think I have enough for the... No, because it was 2,000, wasn't it? Okay. We still need to take care of a few more enemies before we get the 4th combo. But I think we can probably get that on our way back, right? Sorry. Didn't need to attack that poor person. And yet I did. Okay, we are gonna... It's gonna make things easier as a whole if we take out some of these enemies now. Because then we'll get their points. I don't know that I'm gonna have enough, actually, by the time I get to Albero. Well... Fuck. My guy. Come on. I'm like a little under 400 short. Yeah, we're already here. But... Well, we can go in here now. I don't think there's anything I need in here, though. At the moment. Yeah. So you can donate some of your tiers in there, and you can make the place very nice. Which we'll do eventually, but for now...
will be the heart penitent one.
That's not what we're doing.
Welcome few thereof with time.
Man is just telling us that everyone is sick and that we need to bring him some things every so often. So here you go. Here's the bouquet of time.
Merciful be penitent.
Thanks for the linen cloth.
The miracle.
And I don't have anything else to give him at the moment. Okay. Perfect. Could... Oh, this would make things easier as a whole. Let's save here. Let's go talk to the man that lives in the fountain. Because he'll turn the linen cloth into a thing that we could use. And would be helpful long term. We wouldn't have to keep marking all the corpses on our map.
This place is another dream, penitent one. They believe me a saint worthy of devotions, and the only thing I granted to their prayers was the saltpeter that runs through the stark land and rises through our bodies. The punishment of the miracle for the false idol is to grant them false holiness. Do not try to obtain my name, for it is also covered in salt. Bring
So
me
salty.
anything that can be blessed, so you might crush this fate of mine and let me cross to the other side of this false dream.
Okay. Well, I have this.
Behold the linen cloth that soaks the sweat of fevers, of thoughts, of dreamt sins. A tool that obtains secret and forbidden confessions, even from those who already departed to the other side of the dream. In the name of the High Wills, I bless this relic. Watch over it, for it is now pure and sacred.
Cool. Thanks. We have the Shroud of Dreamt Dreams. Dreamt Sins, excuse me. Not Dreamt Dreams. This does mean that we can talk to the corpses that are littered throughout the world, which is great, because now that we have it, we can talk to them as we're exploring as opposed to having to constantly mark them on our maps. We do need to go back this way eventually, but that shouldn't be too big of an issue. I did get the key that opens up the Brotherhood, so that will be good in the future as well. We can hit that up when we go that way too. What are those little ones? They're talking. It's scrolling too fast. They're talking about the cherubs. Okay, we should head north. We should probably deal with the stupid, horrible, awful cliffs. Can you tell that I love them a lot? They're my favorite. They throw wind at you, and there's a lot of falling involved, and it's very rude, and I don't like it. But, you know, what can you do? Other than lightly complain about it. Alright, let's get these guys out of the way. This should get us closer to the amount that we need for our combo, which is nice, but I don't know that there are any teleporters up north that we can access yet, so that's kind of annoying. Could probably head to Hondo, though, which I think is down to the right? To the left, even. I know directions. I promise. Fuck off, man. There we go. I just don't want to do the Charred Visage fight without that extra combo, basically. Not that it's... I don't know that it'll make that much of a difference, since I have to jump most of the time for that fight, so I wouldn't necessarily be able to get the combo going. Ugh, okay. No, it's fine. We'll... There might be a shrine there, though. I'm trying to remember. And I can't. So that's cool and fun and fine. Alright, do you want to... Great. Thank you. Yeah, we should be fine. Just going up and continuing through the area. I'm pretty sure there's a shrine there, and I think it's before the fight as well. Ooh, talk to you. Feel myself weakening. I am sentenced to perish. Abandoned in this forceful praying position. I can no longer hear the rest, only their rested cages swaying in the wind. Aww. Yep, I know how to do this game. Thanks, though. Okay, let's... And there should be a fountain that we can get our new bio flask, that we can fill our new bio flask with. So that's cool and exciting. Empty golden thimble. Is he... Why is he not here? Sorry, there's usually a man there. Is it because I've already killed the Visage? Listen, he loves breaking it into his eyeballs. It's his favorite, actually. Where is my friend, and why can't I see him? I don't remember what he gives me either, which is a bit of an issue. Because I don't know if it's necessary to have or not. I'm probably at the point where I can look up stuff about the game since I've done like my one like fully blind playthrough. I am concerned though. Wait, what'd you say? On these cliffs located at the foot of a snowy abyss, the roots of a secret await those who are patient. Okay. That's cool. Where did my tree friend go? Stop. Stop. Fuck off. He wasn't dodging the way that I told him to, and I don't know if that was a me issue or if that was a game issue. But either way, I am annoyed. Just too busy thinking about my tree friend. Where is he? I had considered coming up here and talking to him before we went back down, but does that do anything? No. Okay. Well, I'll still get that golden thimble full of oil for you. Don't think it's gonna help though. Sucks. So usually he talks to you and it's like, oh, if you can get me this thimble full of oil, I can be free of this prison or whatever. Basically just gotta oil your boy up. He loves that, actually. I've never not had him show up though, so that's interesting. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like so stuck on that. Ma'am, you could stop throwing shit at me. That would be great. I would love that. Is there... yeah, there's a silly lady here who can turn on a dime. Will we, though? I'm not... I mean, we'll find the oil for the oily boy. But I don't know if we'll find the oily boy. I'm worried about the oily boy. Okay. I love it. It's very good. Good emotes. Bread! Is the Zerk emote called like Berserker or Zerk or something, or is it just called Trust? I guess I could like look at it. Oh, it's Think? It's just Think? That's incorrect. I mean, I guess Zerk does gotta think, cause he's a Think Zerker. It makes sense. I understand this choice. I see where it's come from. I see a Zerker, and I just think Trust though. Sir, you can't jump on me while I'm walking past. It's so rude. Okay. Let's get this guy out of here. at least one of the things. Ma'am! With having to, like, revisit or struggle through sections of the game again, we do keep getting our Tears of Atonement, so it's not for nothing that we're having to constantly go through again and again, right? Fuck. Ma'am, you have to stop. I like that she got stuck there. I asked her to stop and she stopped. Beautiful. Okay, we want to go down here. Let's get this guy out of here. This is a problem. Please attack the man. He is right there. Holy shit. My goodness. Okay. What is this? Tend to Dia's hair. Great. A side quest. It's fine. It's a thing that needs to happen. However, it's just not what we need. Alright, get me out of here. I would like to have a save spot, please, which there should be one right here. You'll love to see it. Should go back to the Brotherhood, because as I think about it, there's an item in there that I need.
What I am offering, and may my...
Calcified eye of erudition. Shows enemy...
What I am
health.
offering, and may my...
I do need this. For Hair Egg Lady.
This, and may I...
And this is... increases the defenses of whoever has it, but it's 5,000 points! I don't have 5,000 tears on me! Mark that as a spot for an NPC. Go ahead and get that baby. This should lead us back to Albero, I believe. There's the Immaculate Bead. Okay, the uvula can go away. I need this, though, because I need to die with it on me a couple of times. Once I've died enough, I'll be able to access the hidden spots at those guilt shrines. Also, no, damn it. Okay, I do have incense for the man.
Merciful be, penitent one.
Also, how are we on time? We're doing fine, probably. Again, only checking because I really want to get these bosses done in that 3-hour limit. I could probably do it even faster if I wasn't dicking around as much as I am. 4th combo finish, please. Okay, that would be nice to have, but we don't need it at the moment. I am gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the Brotherhood of Silent Penance. Oh, excuse me. Whoa! Don't talk while you're trying to sneeze. That was a horrible noise. I'm so sorry. My goodness. Sounds you didn't know you could make. Let's get... Well, this is fine too, because we can get more tears this way as well. I'm ready for my allergies and this cold to just be done. Oh, look at that! Sorry, I'm very happy about this fourth combo situation that we got going on. This pleases me. Look at that. Just smash his head off. He's not using it. That guy out of here. I would like to get back into the Brotherhood, please. Let me in. I would like to do this. Thank you. Got the blood perpetuated in sand. Which means that these things... No, it's not this way. It's further over here. There's like little red dots that you can see throughout the world every so often. They're like circling in a little space. Those will turn into platforms now that we have that item, which will be helpful in the mountains, because there's a couple of places that aren't necessary to go through. Hey, this one too. Great. Oops. And I can mark that off because we've gotten that item now. Was it 1,200 for the next one? I know I could just check my menu. That sounds like a lot of effort, is the thing. So we're not gonna check. It's fine. It's fine. That's okay. I mean, we can look here. 1,500. Excuse me. I am a fool for thinking it would be so little. That's fine. If it was 1,200, I'd consider just like going and getting the 100 odd tiers before going back up, but we can just go back up. That's not an issue. Now that we are here, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm getting rid of that, and I'm getting rid of that, and I'm getting rid of that, because we've done all those things. That was the blocked entrance, the cherub, and the corpse, and we have talked to or interacted with all of those. Knot of rosary rope. I can start using that once we head down to Hondo. Also, I didn't mark this cherub because since we were going back, we were just gonna get the sand. Okay, great. Also, corpse. It's closer now. The crying faces of the pain awaiting inside its walls. I ask the cold to be merciful and allow me to climb the peaks, where I will be reborn as a sister of golden visage. Horrible, awful. I hate it here. Nope. Should have waited for that to go away. Sir, listen. It is just easier to block, to parry and then attack them as opposed to wiggling away like I usually do. You wanna come here? Okay. Not a problem. Actually, hold on. I know there's some secrets around here, and I can never remember where they are. Because I hate it here. Oh, I don't know how I managed to grab that. I thought I was dead. Won't argue with it, but oh boy, that was terrifying. Get me in here. Nope, 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 nope. Up? Can you attack up? I am pushing the analog stick up. Oh, boy. Sorry, I'm just very scared. Is the thing. Where are you going? Why did he do that? It's because the wind. It's because there's wind up here, and the wind likes to push you around, and I hate paying attention to where the wind is because it's a stupid mechanic that I hate. Anyway. I fucking hate it. I get it. I understand. But I don't like it. Okay, you know what? My biggest issue with this level as a whole is that the enemies are so annoying that if I can avoid them, I will. So I don't even necessarily get, like, the tier bonus of being here and dying here a whole bunch. So it's just very frustrating. And I hate it, and I don't want to be here. Is the long and short of it. You can't hit me while I'm healing! Ugh. Like, the wind pushes you even when you're not doing anything. Like, when you're stuck in an animation. And that's like, oh my god. Please jump when I tell you to. My guy, where did I die? Did I already pick up my stuff? Did it not count? I am confused about everything. I need him to go. Get out of here. I'm out of flasks. Okay, wind, do your stupid thing. Now stop. Why didn't he move? Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't need to be that shrill about it. But also, why the fuck wasn't he moving? My guy. Does it not count? We have a bee tainted by guilt now. Okay. You know what? At least it's... Could be worse. Could be having to, like, reclaim the guilt fragment that I leave behind, but I'm not having to. So that's nice. Probably because I'm not, like, on a solid surface. It recognizes that, like, I was... holding on to something, but not necessarily that I was on ground where it could drop my fragments. So that's cool. All right, you know what? We can just leave. You have to, I'm pointing upwards. My dude, I just want that item. And if we're dying a few times, that's fine. We need that. I'm gonna be frustrated about it regardless. But that does get the pearl to the point that I need it to be for us to start taking out those prayer areas. I hate it up here so much. Momentum is such a stupid mechanic, especially when it wants you to, like, I don't know. Man is very picky about when he's willing to move around in the air. So to, like when you're dropping and stuff, sometimes he'll let you wiggle around once you've dropped if you weren't moving before. Whereas other times, as we've seen, he'll just fall. And it's like, you have to make up your mind. You can't, it's one or the other. Especially when I've done nothing different either time. But hey, we do have enough tiers now to get the upgrade that we want. Okay, please. Oh, boy! It's for an empty bio flask. It's worth it. Will I remain upset about it? Absolutely. Don't fall. I can't get this baby yet. So let me mark baby while I'm thinking about it. Okay. Just gonna jump over that man because there's not enough space there to do anything. Fuck off! Sorry. Have I mentioned that I hate this level? Well, this is unfortunate. Come on. That's not the button that I was trying to hit. Please. Okay. The way that I usually get it is I stand up here and I do that attack. But I am out of prayer, so we just won't do that. Is there... Oh, this is what I need! Yes! Fill up those vessels for me. We got 3 of them now. Wait, didn't I have a second one? I do. I have to pay for it every time. Okay, well, we have 4 now. So that's exciting. I do have to get more... more tiers, though, if we're thinking about getting any sort of upgrades. Man, can you face the correct way, please? Oof. Wasn't even anything that I wanted. Where is that baby? Baby's down here. Baby has been got. Can't stay away from me, baby. I will collect you. I will take you back to your brethren. And they'll love it, and they'll give me fun things for it. And I like that. I like getting things. What is this? Muted Bell. That is protection against magic attacks, I think? Again, sir, we are aiming upwards, not to the side. And look at that. We're almost... Nope. Almost have enough points already to get that last upgrade that is available to us at the moment. Woo! Okay, come on. Wind! I think it's the other thing I really just hate about is the fact that I have to, like, sit around and wait for it. It's not... Cycle isn't, like, particularly long, but it's long enough that it's very annoying. Also, hey, a secret. Gib. Yes. I would love for my fervor to go up. More prayers. Just can't. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Dislike. Also, I think that there is more stuff up there that I can't get to at the moment. Wind, you have to go in the right direction. Come on. Also, let's heal up. Let's get that. Piece of tombstone. That reduces our cooldown when we fall. Or like our recovery time. Which is... Fuck. I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. Please. Oh, thank God we don't have to scale anything anymore. Are there any corpses out here? No. Okay. Ugh. Sorry, it's so annoying.
Indeed, sister of mine. Our encounter is approaching. The miracle will protect me. I do not need your protection this time. Leave me alone.
I'm trying to go for the good ending. And I think keeping him alive is part of that. So I need to remember to explore... Oh god. Explore the sewers before we get out of... Before we go to the doors. I think we can still beat all of them, but we need to... You know what? Hold on. Sisters humble themselves before two holy figures in their crypts. What secrets might they be keeping? Their eyes anticipate sacrifices, anticipate pain, anticipate blood. Oh, that's good for them. This is horrible! Oh, this leads back down to Albero. Great. Oh, I know what this is. Okay. See, there's blood on the ground, alright? So you do have this move where you can attack yourself. You can offer a blood sacrifice in order to get a little bit of fervor. Alright, let's go down. On our way back up, we'll stop at that spot that was above the other elevator. But this should... I just want to get that upgrade while we're thinking about it. Because I don't think it's going to take us... I mean, what? We've been streaming for like an hour and a little over an hour and a half. Say an hour 40. Don't think it's going to take us 20 minutes to beat the lady... this particular boss, but, you know, who knows? She's kind of a bitch. Sort of horrible to deal with. But... and then it shouldn't take us, like, a full hour to finish out Hondo. I don't think. Sorry, I'm thinking about that achievement. Give me that Chivo.
Take the next of my deep pains.
Okay. I am also at the point where I'm like actively starting to skip people's cutscenes or the dialogue that they're offering. So, you know. And if we don't have to... No, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Yeah, no, this should be fine. Alright. I think what's through here is just bad fog that I can't get through? Yeah. I'll mark that as green. Will I remember what that means? Absolutely not. Will I still leave it as marked as such? Absolutely I will. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. Would you like to face the correct way, my guy? He says, no thank you. Is that... no. Okay. Just too high. Sir! Okay, you know what? That's alright. We haven't taken that much damage yet. I say that, and then I have lost half my health. Come on. Please. Oops, oops, ops. This is horrible. Okay. That hurt a lot. Lady, my god! Sorry, the range on that attack is disgusting! My goodness! Okay, you know what? Let's just get out of here. Hey, shortcut! You love to see it! Actually, while we're here, can I... What is this? Blocking stance. Okay, I don't want to do either of those. There's a specific heart that I used in my last run, and I don't remember what the name is or what it does even. It's definitely neither of those. Fuck! Okay, be done. Horrible creature. Great. I think when I streamed this last, those were the things that were giving me the most trouble. They still give me trouble. Do not worry. There's still a problem for me. But I understand them a little better. I don't like their hitbox though. Or their ability to hit me, that is. Fuck off. I hate them. I hate them so much. They are the worst. Laser ghosts are awful. Listen. And it doesn't help that my man likes to grab onto the edges when that is clearly not what I was telling him to do. And yet when I want him to, he's just like, nah, I think we'll fall. It's like, penitent one, please. Buddy, pal, friend. Consider. Self-preservation. We have to have it. At least a little bit. I'm gonna scream. Okay, I need to get that guilt fragment back. She couldn't get me from under here. That's great to know, actually. Come on. Come on! Where's that second one? The world may never know. Ma'am! Okay. This is fine. Wasn't really worth it. I think I missed the red one that's in... where Pie Dad is. That's fine. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong, and I apologize, but also Pie Dad is very funny to me. It's the dad of 10 pies. There we go. Oh, it's Pie Dad. Okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming for me. I appreciate it. I wish contact damage wasn't a thing. Bones! Oh no. Sorry. Fuck. Come on. Oof. Get that man out of here. I can't go up. I mean, I can, but I can't get the thing because I haven't gotten the first one. Fucking kidding me? I'm gonna die. This is it. I'm donezo. I'm gonna get up here and it's not gonna matter. Well. Okay, she's dead. There's a boss over here. I can feel Our Lady between these walls. I can feel her warmth, for her face still burns, a reminder of her sacrifice and ours. The pain, the cold, and the burn are our rules. Alright, thanks, corpse. There should be... Yes! This is what I wanted! Okay. This boss fight is going to take me a few tries. Pie Dad... Oh my god. Sorry, I forgot. He came back. Pie Dad was rough because, you know, getting used to being a baby Goopman again. Cloistered Sapphire. What do you do? Electrifies the air after he performs an execution. I am gonna I'm gonna get rid of that for right now. And we are gonna equip the muted bell. I don't need the pearl except for the whatever they are. The guilt shrines. But this lady likes to do a lot of magic damage. And I am but a small guy. There she is. Man, you can't start out having your brain exposed like this and me not be able to hit it all of the time, I think. Okay. You know, that could have been worse. Stupid, 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 stupid. I'm just gonna have to eat these hits. There's no other way. Horrible. That's my last bio flask. Fuck. was thinking this lady was gonna be hard, but we're already doing so much work. Even if I die, I'm gonna be happy with this. I say that. Shit. No! Alright. We got real far that time. That is much better than I was anticipating that going. We can do this. This can happen. This can happen. I think we can do this. Alright. It's rough. There's just so much going on the screen. I mean, she's no Isadora. But that's still too much. Stupid hat's getting in the way. And he takes so long. Okay, all right. That's my last flask. Come on, come on. Where is my health? Why is there no health in my health bar? It's fine. I clearly have at least one hit point. That's all that matters. We've done it. We killed her. She's dead. She's donezo. Holy shit. That took less tries than Pie Dad. That fight usually takes me so many tries. Oh, I got lucky though. She kind of got into a place where I didn't have to move, so I wasn't getting like hit by her attacks. And she was down low, so I didn't have to jump up to hit her either. And that's 2 bosses in an hour and 50. So, we're on track to get this achievement. Holy shit.
Melt and erase the compunction of your soul. Heart of
Ugh.
guilt, return now from the dream.
I need to heal though, desperately. There is like a single pixel of red on my health bar. And I think it's because her attacks were still getting me even after I had won the fight. So
You have carried out the second humiliation of penance.
None pixels, at least 1 pixel.
Compunction.
Am I dead?
Yet to prostrate one last visage.
Gracias, don't even worry about it, man. I'm gonna get it. We got this. And this should be the Mea Culpa Shrine, yeah. Okay. Which is great, because that puts our sword at level 2, which means I can start unlocking all these other things. I never really used that, so we'll get it, but we'll wait. Upward slash finisher is great. But I'm gonna get this lunge so that we can reach further with it. It's this move, which is pretty nice. And we'll save up for the 7,000. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Ah! panicked. I got scared and I panicked and I got myself dead. But that's okay, we should just go where the boss was. Yeah! Yeah! Oh boy. But it's fine. And I can do this now. So that's cool and fun. What's in here? Is there anything in here? Yes. Why? Oh. Oh, I know where we are. Let's get rid of her. And what's down here? There's a lot we haven't explored up here, but I do have to come back here anyway. So I think best bet is probably to go up and around. Yeah, it's not really any less treacherous to go this way than it is the other way to get back. So that's fine. It would be good to, like, get some of the things that are here so we get some tears. But really, I'm just happy to be done with this area for right now. And when we come back, we'll be much more powerful, which will be so nice, because then I won't have to struggle nearly as much, and I won't have to, like, deal with the poison that's around. So we're happy with this. I would like the items that are around here. And I don't think... I'm pretty sure that the, like... What is it? Like, the silvered lung of Dolphus or whatever. The item that lets me, like, not take any toxic damage at all, I think is in Hondo? Which is where we're headed anyway. We'll see how that fight goes. I don't remember it being too difficult. But I also usually, like, thoroughly explore everything before going and doing the fight. And we've, not that we've not explored, but, you know, we've been a little more sparing about covering the entire map. We can do one of these, though. That'll give us some Tears of Atonement as well. Okay. I didn't, like, find out about these until, like, super late in my last playthrough. So I did kind of, like, zoom through most of them. Just because, you know, I was, like, at the end of the game when I found out that this was a thing that I could do. Ow! Alright. These aren't too difficult, though. We've got full flasks. So... Oops, okay. Get that guy over here. Not even an issue. No! Idiot. Idiot man. Idiot man jumping into the spikes. I didn't realize that they could do that. That makes me very happy. I love that they can do that. Sorry, I'm like super like leaning in close. I'm just fuck. It's fine. They got stuck and it couldn't go anywhere because there were bad ladies everywhere. Everywhere I looked. Just bad ladies. That's not where I want to be. Oh my god. It's fine. This is very annoying. Alright. I think at that point I just needed to use my prayer. Get that little wiggly magic attack out there. I can do that. That's fine. I think that's like the last round, though, of enemies, that is. Last round of enemies. Okay. Our guilt fragment was outside, which is delightful. Don't remember what was before the last set of enemies, though. Sir. Come on. Oof! Oof! We'll just do 3 of those. I hate that you can launch those guys off the screen. Okay, that's half the screen taken care of. I'm here. Just drop on her head. And this is the last one before the other ones, right? Idiot. Okay. Let's heal. Come on. Woof! That's that one taken care of. And that's that one taken care of. And that's it? We're done? We're done. We've done it. Probably shouldn't be, like, wasting time doing this. But, you know. We're at 5,000 points. Got 5,000 tears in our pocket. And that's this one taken care of. And our thorn has turned into a budding sprout. Gotta get the Chivo. It's true. We have got like an hour though. And I think we can manage Hondo in that amount of time. Hi, Farley. But we should make our way down that way now while we're thinking about it, you know? I have that thimble of gold oil, which I would love to give to the boy. However, don't know that he's around for me to give it to him. Can we not attack me like that, please? That's where our Quicksilver friend is. I would love to go say hello to him. However, he's gonna wait a little bit. Oof, this could be a problem. There should be a shrine close by. Here? Here. Perfect. Great. I was getting a little concerned about how, I don't know, ballsy I was being about that. Ah! It's fine. Oh, I'm gonna get bonked! Whoa! Didn't realize I had iframes while doing those prayers. That feels very generous from the game. I'm not gonna complain about it. I'm just surprised. Fuck. Bad man, bad man, bad man. Stop going away! Okay, let's try and do this without falling this time. Stupid idiot. Dumb boomerang man. Wait, there's a boss here! A mini boss, but a boss nonetheless. I forgot about this. I need to heal. Ma'am, how much health do you have? It's fine. We did it. We're good. Got Perpetua's Protection. What does that do? Protects against lightning. Okay. Not particularly helpful at the moment. And there should be a friend here.
O penitent one, we traverse strange roads under the same firmament, with nigh other trade, nigh other name. My name is Redento, barefoot the pilgrim of the Order of the Genuflectors.
The Genuflectors, you say?
Prithee, taketh nigh
Sorry,
affront
I
in my
hate
not looking at thy
the color
visage.
balance that's happening over
For
here
we
right now.
At each
It's fine.
moment lean forth, so as not to divert our eyes from the path. Such is our old precept. We are before Hondo, the great buried bell, erected upside down so that its ringing would make the earth tremble and reach distant lands. Now Hondo resoundeth in a deep triune moan that travelleth in echoes through its broad spiraling circles. My
Yeah.
feet wish to cross to the other side of this ancient valley, to move on to the next destination. Oh, my sins! Who could help me?
Me, I could help you. And help you I will. Assuming that everything stops fucking owning me. Sorry, everything is screwed here. Alright, those guys handled. There should be a nice, lovely save spot around here somewhere. Ugh! Hondo is a little rude, and by a little, I mean incredibly. Just very unkind. But on the bright side of things, we do have almost enough tears to get our next achievement. I'm not gonna stop getting owned, I think, is the takeaway here. Game is going to continue to own me. Relentlessly. Because it says, hey, consider. Get good. And I'm like, but what if I don't, actually? Come here. Great. That's gonna resolve that issue. Can't go that way at the moment. That's fine. We're gonna save here. Well, I was gonna try and do a plunge attack, but that didn't work. But that's fine. More tears for us. Come here. I get like 50 points from these heads. Just kidding. Why did I get that? Where did I get that number from? Literally nowhere. Wishful thinking, I guess. Alright, buddies. If you could stop hanging around here. I would love that. Look here, bucko. Let's make that happen. Please jump when I tell you, otherwise you're going to scare me. And I will be sad. Okay. Gate open. And I should activate the shortcut before pressing on. Alright. Wonderful. Need to get rid of the statues. To do that, I need to go down. Not that way, though. That is a bad way. That is a bad way full of death. Death and spikes. Come here. Did I just bounce that back at them? Is this new enemy tech that I didn't know about? My god. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Fuck. It's fine. We got hit a little bit. That's okay. Vertebra of Lindquist. I don't know why I went into my map. Probably just to generally check things. That's fine. Like a pro. A bouquet of rosemary. Ah! Okay. Oh, right. That's a shortcut. I know what that is. Not where it is. I don't remember where or how I get there from anywhere, but... Can I? Hold on. Can you throw that at me again? It just sends it back. Okay. I was hoping that it would hurt him. I have been bonked. Mercilessly. Fuck. Sorry, that hurt more than I would have liked it to. What are the cats doing? Ooh! Gotta get rid of that. There goes a chain. You love to see it. And there's a cherub. I think there's a thing here that I need to get to. As I don't believe it's an optional thing. But we'll find out! Okay. Fuck. Alright, what are we trying to do here? Okay. Great. It's as easy as that. What's this? Quicksilver! Ooh, okay. This is a bad place that we don't want to be in, but at least we know where it is. I think that's like actually like the exit of that particular level. So definitely don't need to be there. I have respawned everything though, haven't I? That is a mite unfortunate. But you know what? Just a bunch of flying heads in here. They're not worth nothing. Okay. Alright. Those guys give me a fair number of points. It's down here. We know what's down there. Okay. I would like to not be here anymore. In fact, I would prefer to be this way. Actually, what is up here? What we've already done. We already did that. Okay, cool. Sorry, that's me almost running into a like off a ledge. Yeah, let's go down, I guess. Alright, come on, guy. Well! Come on! Where are you going? That's not where I was! No, that's fine. Okay, we have been this way, but we need to go further this way. No, wait, I can't go this way because that's a shortcut that I haven't unlocked yet. I know what's happening. You don't know what's happening. You're the one getting lost and losing track of everything. Please, my guy. Okay. I need to go across this way. We have gotten rid of one of the chains. Oh my god. dislike these dudes. It's fine. We can kill just the one and call it good. I also don't need to go through here in the way that I'm planning on doing it. But that's fine. Sometimes it's nice to just get some points. Vertebra of John the Gambler. John. Okay. Down we go. I don't have that shortcut open just yet. I know I've, like, given up on, marking stuff on the map. But it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, what's this? Bioflask. Okay. Because I think, like, for the most part, we are getting all of the items and cherubs and stuff, and marking the block doors isn't too important. It's not, like, as necessary as marking, like, the items and stuff. Hey, yes, I would like to refill my flasks. Do I just have the one? It's just the one. Okay. We got 5 flasks, though. What is the cap on that? Like, how many can I have at once? Don't like those guys. Hey! I did it! First try! And that's the second chain. Oops. Alrighty. What's next? That? Okay. That takes so long. It's fine. We got it. Silly timed puzzles. We got a Knot of the Rosary, though, which is delightful. If I can get back to the Brotherhood of Silent Penitents, or Penitent Silence, whatever Brotherhood the Penitent one is from. There's like a little area under there, which I can get to from Hondo, I believe. We can then get a lady, a sweet little ghost lady, to add to our rosary collection, so that we get more spots for trinkets. Alright, listen here, bucko. There we go. It's like, I will mark you and come back for you. However, won't be happy about it. What's over here? What is this? Oh, this is back to like the start. Okay. We are like 34-ish minutes from where we need to be. So we're like within time. That should activate that for Redento. And that should be everything that's here for now, I think. No. 'Cause there's a hole I need to fall into. Okay. Alright! I know what's happening. Do you? Okay. Alright, that resolves that problem. That is that one. I need to go back to the main area. And... Is this not it? No, this goes back to Redento. I mean, I guess I can tell him that the issue has been resolved. I'm gonna leave him here, actually, because I think... No, we're gonna tell him to go on. Hey, buddy, I've done the thing.
Thou art the answer to my prayers. The Order thanketh thee for thine aid.
Yeah, you're welcome,
It is
bud.
of little use for me to remain here. Go with the Father, O penitent one.
I got the 4th toe made of limestone. He gives me some very nice items. That reduces my cool, the cooldown for dodging. Which you'll love to see. Why were you stuck, sir? My guy. Okay. I need to find a hole. Where is hole? Hello? Hole? Sir, you have to grab the ladder. I am pushing up on the analog stick. That time I just wasn't close enough, but the last couple of times I was. And he still said, ha ha ha, no thank you. I don't even need to go this way. Why am I going that way? I have a shortcut here. It's because I'm thinking about it too much. Okay. Down. Go ahead and ring that bell. Well, this is fine. This is what we wanted. Great. Okay. Indeed, it is the groan. It comes from the deepest core of this place, slithering in spirals, growing with its own echo, distorting amidst the bronze embossings. The cry of 3 intertwined throats, born of a single penance, a single mourning. Light hardly ever reaches here, only the cold and the groan. Ma'am, I would like to take a little longer to read your stuff, but y'all scroll way too fast. It's a fine pace for reading, silently. Not as great a pace for reading aloud. you know what? That's okay. Hey, guess what? We have enough points for our other, for a big upgrade that we wanted. I should probably go do that, actually. Now? I should go do that now. We've got probably a little more than 30 minutes to get this achievement, and I think I can do it. Now watch, this is the one boss that I end up, like, super struggling with. Nah, we got this. Alright, send me back to the Grievance Ascends. Let's go! Horrible ghost bellman. Get him out of here. What is down here? That is an item that I can't get. Hold on. Without the lung. Ma'am, where are you? Okay, that's one less lady. And that's two less lady. Alright, lady, where are you? Alright, not a problem. Just get those guys out of here. Oof. Fuck. Alright. Get that lady out of here. Heal up, please. I was too far away to get the, like, actual riposte off, but that's fine. Riposte? Don't want to go down there because it's bad. I'm scared. I think I might have made a mistake coming this way. Why did that hit me? It was his toes! Man doesn't breathe through his toes! Goop Man's weird, but not that weird. Fuck. Fuck! It's fine. It's fine. We'll just jump here a few times. God damn it. Oh, this better be the silvered lung. Oh, it is. Dolphus, you beautiful boy. means we won't take damage from the horrible fog anymore. Despite just equipping it, I got scared that I had it and that I was gonna fucking die. He doesn't! He doesn't breathe through his toes, I'm telling ya! It's not true! If somebody tells you Goop Man breathe through toes, they're lying to you. I'm sorry. It's just not true. Ugh. It's fine. Where is she? Okay. I should probably, like, you know, find a... I don't want to be in there. That is a bad place for me to be in right now because I have no health and I think it's just a little extra area. Yes! Okay! We've restored our stuff. You know what that means. Is this? Ooh, fervor. Okay. That's not bad. That's not a bad find. I thought the thing above me was the optional area. That is incorrect. I am starting to, like, stress out about... Goopman, don't breathe through toes. It's not... You're lying. You're lying to me. Rudy, have you considered that this is a lie? Fuck. I think down is where... Hair Egg is? Which I would love to go look at, but I don't have time for it right now. I think you would. I think it's well within your purview to lie about Goopman toes. It's not, I don't fault you for it. Oh, hey, it's one of those. One of those, you ask? Yeah, don't worry about it, I say. We'll get to that eventually. I hate these guys. No, this is the optional thing. Fuck. I don't want to be here. Ma'am? Are you gonna... I'm scared? Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. You wanna come here? No. Okay. I do need those coins. It's another thing that I need for Hair Egg. However, again, I don't really have time for Hair Egg, nor do I have time for all this nonsense. Where am I going? Wait, this might be Hair Egg. I'm just gonna keep saying Hair Egg like that's a normal thing that normal people say. And I will not elaborate further on Hair Egg. What do you mean it's weird? You don't know about Hair Egg? Maybe this was the way I was supposed to go. Yeah, I think, okay. Well, you know what? We got 20 minutes. Let's get this fight done. Hi, ma'am. Here they are. But can you please... Game, here's the problem with the situation that you've just thrown me in. I couldn't see any of the ladies. Let's just do that a little bit. That doesn't do any sort of small amount of damage, so I'm happy with that. Fuck. Grab the ledge, you fool! Please stop. This hurts. This hurts me a lot. And we've done it. Yeah, those ladies are like nothing. Where's my Chivo? Where's my Chivo? Where is my Chivo? Unless I've, like, misremembered it somehow, which would be incredibly unfortunate and embarrassing. Hey, game? Do I have to talk to the visage before I get it? Please tell me I didn't, like, misremember it.
Great ordeal and the sons of the miracle. May the gold in my visage melt and erase the contrition of your soul.
Okay.
Heart of guilt, return now from the dream.
We got the Holy Wound of Contrition. Great. Where is my Chivo? Was I a silly guy? Woo! Hey, buddy. Hold on. Did I just make this achievement up? I might have made this achievement up. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up real fast. I might have made that up. Cool. Well. Neat.
You have been allowed to
I swear I saw that in the achievement list.
Penitent one in silence. After bowing before the holy custodian visages, the door at the end of the Bridge of Calvary has been opened.
Great.
Traverse now its threshold under the strict eye of His Holiness. We penitents carry such guilt that perhaps the affliction is giving us a second breath. But be wary. Amongst prayers, it might silently come creeping to us one day.
That's nice. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna, like, look this up on an actual browser as opposed to my phone. Hey, what are the achievements for Blasphemous? have to pass through the bronze door in under 3 hours. Okay. So I was not fully far off, just kind of off. This is a problem because if I want to try to do the true ending, I have to go find.
Take
I have to find
of my
the
pains.
the grave of the sister to avoid the fight with the guy that's chasing us right now. We have 15 minutes. Can I do it? I think I can. I just have to remember where the grave is. Might be. I think it's in the sewer somewhere. Okay, hold on. We can do this. We can do this. And you know what? If we can't, that's fine too. There's a baby here. I will come for that baby later. Okay. Nope, that is a bad place. There isn't really anywhere for me to go there. So we need to go... I mean, worst comes to worst, I start another save file and I do this again. But I know that I have to get through the door, as opposed to beating just the bosses. Okay. Alright. You know what? We can do this. Pretty sure her grave is in... And I can't really check my other save file either. Because I don't have my map anymore. Because I started over. So, you know. And I haven't gotten that far in my other save because the thing with New Game Plus is it makes you take the, well, it doesn't make you. You can choose, oops, wrong button. You can choose not to add like an extra challenge to it, but I did take a perk that please? What are you doing, sir? That gives me like pips instead of a health bar. I don't want to go that way. That's not the way that I want to go. Excuse me. So it's just substantially more difficult. I haven't gotten particularly far in that save. This is the wrong way. There is a baby and a chest down here, though. So we'll just quickly mark that off. The panic is setting in? Again, I don't have to do this. I just want to. Oof, I need to heal. I am out of health. I am scared. I am scared. Fuck. Okay, you know what? Maybe we do a bad ending. Maybe we do a bad ending. Ass! I just want that achievement. Well, I say a bad ending. They're probably all bad, if we're being real. None of them strike me as particularly good. Thing is, without this thing from the sister, I'm not sure that I can beat the man in time either. I might look up its location. Hold on. Let's exit to the main menu. I want to know exactly how much time I have. We have 15 minutes now. Okay. That makes me feel better. Hi! Evo is honkin'. Oh, right. It is in the bad place. It's in the place that I hate? Okay. We can work with that, though. It's an Echoes of Salt, which is up here. Ugh, it's so far away, though. Hey, Devo, can you stop? Okay, I think we can do this. Assuming I can remember where I'm fucking going. Devo, stop! You've been so good today. You don't need to start screaming now. Oh, my lovely little boy. He of the screams. Yeah, we want to keep going this way. I am going to lock you out if you keep this up. Get out. Out. You can tell me all about stuff once the stream is done. I love you, Devo. But you're very annoying sometimes. Especially when you cry like a baby who's very upset about something. Surprise. That's always. He's not upset, that's just how he talks. Bruh. Okay. Actually, there should be... I don't know if I can access it from here. But... don't think I can. Yeah, no. Okay. I didn't think so, but there is a shortcut from Echoes of Salt there. This is fine. We can just zoom our way through here. As nice as it would be to get Tears of Atonement, I don't have time for that. So, you know, we just gotta go. It's run time. It's time to run. Okay. My guys. I've gone the wrong way. This is fine. We're doing great. Probably. I'm not panicking, you're panicking. Fuck! to start all the way back at the beginning. Great. Love that. Love that for me. This is my favorite. No matter where I go, it's gonna take forever to get there. This is fine. Oh my god, he's pawing at the door. Alright, well I'm gonna have to end the stream soon anyway. Because Devo is being a butthole. Spent so much time with him this morning. I hate that when you get hit, you can't recover sometimes. Man just says, nah, I'm just gonna keep falling and not grab anything, and I've gone the wrong way again. Alright. I don't think this is happening. Which is, like, incredibly unfortunate. You know what? That's okay. I need these fucking dudes to stop following me everywhere I go. Preferably. And I need everything to stop hitting me as well. Preferably. My dude. Okay. Stop touching me. Is it up? It's up. Okay. We can restart our position from here. Which, I mean, at that point, if I have to do that, then we're kind of done anyway, right? Because at this point, we're kind of down to the wire. No. Come on, just open the door. Thank you. Ma'am, I'm not bothering you. In fact, I'm very much minding my own business, really, when you think about it. I need to go up. I gotta go up. Alright. And I've already lost track of time, so that's cool. And I would log out to see how we're doing. That will start me at the last place that we checkpointed. And that's not what we need right now, I think. Alright. Get on through. Checkpoint here. And we exit to menu so I can check the time. I have 6 minutes. This isn't happening! Alright. Fuck off. Why is his stupid head bumping into the ceiling? Sorry, I'm getting annoyed over nothing, really. All this for an achievement. Okay. See, it's not here. It's not here. Oh, this isn't the way I needed to go. This is tragic. I'm making all the wrong moves. Can you please not hit me while I'm trying to go down a ladder? Go down the ladder! Thank you. There is an item there. Where's the ladder? Oh, there it is. Found it. Because that makes me feel mildly better. Okay. Beneath the earth, there's a roar. Sir, come on. Come on! Oh. And then he just takes forever to do anything and everything. I need to be up there. Oh, God. Sorry, it does annoy me when I try to jump to a ledge, but I'm like 2 pixels off, despite the fact that it looks like he's made it. And then I just can't get what I need. It's like, hey, buddy, I need that. Is this? Okay. Fuck. Okay, last one. Ooh, is this where it is? Oh, God. Please. I need to stop searching. I just need to find the place. That's all. I think this is it. It is. Okay. Well, ma'am. I'm gonna skip through her dialogue. Basically, she's gonna be like, my brother has had visions of you doing horrible things, but I have seen otherwise. Take this, show him, and he'll let you through. And it's just like a scapular that she has, and her brother has like the duplicate of it, or like a matching one. It's like a BFF necklace, basically, you know? Okay, I've got the scapular. Great. And now I have to get back. I don't know that I'm gonna have the time. Yeah, just a quick jaunt. Ooh, that might have been the faster way to do it. It's fine. We'll do this. Actually, this was the best way. Perfect. Let's get to Albero real dang fast. Oh, shit! Get me out of here. Oh, I wish there was a way to make my man run faster. Sir, we are in a hurry. Okay, and I just need to double check that it is the high road. Okay. While I was like 95% certain, fuck off. There's still that moment of panic where it's like, I will choose the incorrect way to go. So if we could avoid that, that would be cool. That's fine. I'll take that hit. Please. We're doing okay on health. I have to like remind myself to keep checking that. Just so I don't like almost get there and then explode. Because that would also be a thing that I do. Okay, and this gets me there regardless. Yeah, because it goes back up. Okay. Please, 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 please. Get up. And then this is him being like, I'm gonna fight you, and then you're like, actually, I have the scapular, and he's like, oh shit, okay, seems like my sister thinks you're a cool guy. I won't fight you, in fact. Meet me, where your story began. Sir, you are taking up so much time just with your animations. They're gorgeous animations, and I love them, and I love the art in this game, but listen, I am in a hurry. Run faster! Did I do it? I don't think I did it.
I feel
this is
my
tragic.
blood turning in.
I was over by 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? That's fine. I can set aside 3 minutes to make that happen. Because there was a lot of me just like wandering around being like, dur, 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 I guess this is fine. So, yeah, I mean, look at this. We're also already like 40% of the way through the game. And that includes like all the extra stuff as well. So, yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I've been really enjoying like playing Rule of Rose and stuff like that, but I realized that like the last oh, you're right. I did get 4069. Nice. Well, I have to start a new save anyway. No, I don't know. I have been enjoying playing Rule of Rose and stuff, but it feels like it's definitely, I don't know, there've been a lot of games recently that have been just like so very low key, which like I've needed because, you know, it's I don't know, life's been rough, and I've needed something that's more mellow. Let me go to the extras, because I think I want to change my skin. Let's do the Chantress. Not credits. So yeah, I've been enjoying playing, like, some of the more, like, mellow games and stuff like that, but, I don't know, this game is definitely more, like, you know, fast-paced, ridiculous, silly, neat. What is this one? Stir of Dawn. Okay. Let's do this one. Let's do this background. So we might do more. I do want to finish Rule of Rose, and that might be what we do next. Like I said, today I wanted to do like a slightly longer stream than normal, and I did 3 hours. Hey, it's not bad. But exit out of video game. Yeah, but we might do more Blasphemous or more games like this in general. I've been back in my like Metroidvania era recently, because they're good, nice games to kind of just like tune out to. You still have to like, you have to think about it, and you have to and you do have to like pay attention and stuff like that, but it's a different type of thinking as opposed to the kind that I have to do for like work and stuff like that. And so it's been really fun. And especially, like, because Blasphemous is one that I've had, like, close to since it came out. And I remember getting through, like, through this section of the game and then slightly into the Ferris tree. But I got to a point where I was playing it and I had played it so much in such a short amount of time that I was just like, well, I need to set this down and take a break from it. And I did what I usually do, and I set a game down, and then I just never go back to it. And so, like, this last year with the announcement of, like, Blasphemous 2 coming out, I've been, like, thinking about it and being like, oh, I should play this. And then earlier this last month, I guess, I was just like, I need to sit down and finish Blasphemous. And I went hard. As you saw, there were, like, I had, like, 20-odd hours in my other save file, and I, like, nearly 100%ed it. There were I missed a few things, but again, that was, like, without a guide. Now that I've played through it fully, like, on my own, I have looked at stuff online, to see, like, what I was missing. And yeah, so I'm, like, not opposed to doing that now, but, like, I don't know, the first time I go through something, I'm not anti-guide, but I kind of just, like, I like exploring and doing stuff. Did the same thing with Hollow Knight, which maybe we'll do Hollow Knight again. I don't know, I just want to do, like, I want to do Metroidvanias, because they're a lot of fun. I've been thinking about, like, some of the Souls games again, so doing stuff like that, in the near future might be fun. We'll see, though, what happens. We'll see what happens. Because I do want to do, like, I want to finish Rule of Rose, and I want to play, Haunting Ground and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just been Metroidvanias. Sometimes you just get an itch for a specific type of game, and it's been Metroidvanias for me lately. I just love Metroidvanias, and I always have. They've always been really fun for me, and I've enjoyed them a lot. And it is one that I tend to, like, gravitate towards. So yeah. It's true! Souls games are just Castlevanias in 3D. Which is why I was like, we'll lump Souls-like into the mix as well, because, you know, they count, I guess. But it might be fun to get, like, I don't know, do some more, like, modded Souls stuff. Yeah, I've been thinking about, like, playing Elden Ring again. And I just haven't had, like, the motivation to do it. But I don't know, this was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I felt hyped about it. It also helped that I've, like, had a chance to rest this weekend. Well, I've been fighting a cold, most of the weekend, unfortunately. I was able to get, like, a lot of rest, and I've gotten a lot of stuff done around my apartment that I kind of fell behind on, and I was, like, super productive today, both with, like, housework and content creation. I just felt really good about stuff, and I wanna keep that rolling as much as I can. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll definitely do more Blasphemous on stream, because this was a lot of fun. And we'll look at other Metroidvanias. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. Ender Lilies might come up again. Hollow Knight, probably, for sure. Maybe we'll take a stab at Symphony of the Night again. Because I know that, like, we played through, like, the first half of the game, and then we got to the Upside Down Castle, and I was just like, I can't be fucked at all. And I think I might have just, like, gotten a little, like, camera shy, I guess. I don't know. I remember it being hard, but I don't remember ever struggling as much as I did on stream, and it's probably because I was streaming it. But no, if you have any suggestions, for Castlevanias or Soul-like games that we can do on stream, let me know. I'm gonna try and pick up Blasphemous too in the next, like, few months, but we'll see, because there's a lot of games coming out in October specifically that I want to get. But, you know, money's tight, and I have plans. But I do want to get the new Alan Wake game, and I do want to get the new Alone in the Dark, which both come out in October, I believe. But whatever, we'll figure that out. For now, we should find somebody to raid into. Hold on just a second. Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with this. This is great. I'm glad that you had fun with it too. That makes me happy. What do we have online right now? A Raving Loon doing Super Mario RPG. Dot Level doing Retro. Pikachu doing some Murder by Numbers. ATM Zero doing some Code Vein. We haven't seen Chew in a hot minute. Y'all wanna go? Sorry, I just heard Disco Elysium and got very excited about that for a second. Which, there's gonna be a new Disco Elysium going up on YouTube, later this week. I think on Friday is when I have it scheduled to go live. So look forward to that. Where the fuck did OBS go? There it is. Yeah, let's go say hi to Chew. If you're gonna raid with us, there are the raid messages. First one is for everyone. It's got global emotes on it. Second one, is for subs. It's got our channel emotes. Murder by Numbers, it looks like it's like a nonogram game. I think Allie played it. Allie was showing me. It's like a murder mystery, but you like solve puzzles by solving nonograms, and I do love nonograms. So yeah, we'll do that. I will be back. Planning on being back on Wednesday. I don't have any doctor's appointments or anything wild going on this week, as far as I'm aware. So we should have a vaguely normal schedule. If not, we'll try and let you know. But until then, take care of your dang selves. I love y'all, and we'll see you later. Bye, friends.